And then you're good. Cool.
Sweet. Yeah, all set.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, Kevin, thanks, man. Appreciate you making this happen.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me.
If I if I cough, my apologies. It's with three kids, somebody's got me sick, and I've had a cough that it just won't leave. So if that happens, I got some good old hot tea that I'm drinking here, so I'll be slurping that unprofessionally during the interview as well.
Fantastic. I hear that. I've got a 1.5-year-old that has all the daycare diseases. So
Oh, boy or
she,
girl?
a little girl, her name's Avery.
Oh,
Um,
man.
she just got over some hand, foot, and mouth. So that was fun.
Yes, we've dealt with that as well. I feel like that's the point of daycare is you give them an exorbitant amount of money and they just every now and then get a child sick and give them back and you wind up watching them.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, it is. It's about it. Like, here's all this money to watch my kid. They're like, ew, your kid is yucky. Um,
hmm
and
And
then we're like,
sometimes
well,
sometimes you drop your kid off and you think you're being like a halfway decent parent because maybe you kept them out at some time, and you look across and there's some kid like hacking up a lung with like snot. You're like, how is this kid at school today? There's no way my kid's not gonna get sick.
yeah, it's we'll bring like we feel bad bringing her anywhere if she's sick because she can just kids are kids. She shoves her hand in her mouth and then she shoves her hand then in my mouth. And I'm like, well, thank you for that lovely donation of germs.
Yes.
And they just touch everything and slobber everywhere. And so we feel bad if we bring her to daycare and she's feeling a little bit under the weather. We're like, we don't want to. We'll keep her home today. It's not like having like people's kids like that. And then you go drop Avery off or pick her up, and you got kids that are just wiping boogers all over the place, and you're like, wow.
100%. 100%, man. Is this your first kid?
This is the first, yeah,
So year and a
yeah.
half in, how's dad life?
It's fantastic. She's the best thing that ever happened. Um, she wasn't. She's like in between like planned and accident. It's like we weren't actively trying to not have kids. We were like in the process of trying to figure out when was the right moment for us to, have a child. And we
Hmm
were like, I guess right now. All right, fantastic. So she came at a pretty hectic point in life, I guess. Like my wife Sammy was pregnant, and I was working for CrossFit Tilt in Sudbury at the time. I don't know if you know the owner,
I
Max
know that
Isaac.
name.
Yeah, it's a very big, very well-run operation here in Massachusetts. And so I got the opportunity to coach for them full time for like 2-ish years. Um, and we found out that my wife Sammy was pregnant. It was already one heck of a commute to the gym because we had moved. And so we're trying to like figure out moving parts and pieces for life. And they're like, well, now we're gonna have a beautiful baby that we need to prioritize, and let's see what goes on. And um, ended up leaving the gym as like a kind of mutual parting of ways. It was a like, hey, this is what's best for me, but also like this is absolutely nothing against the CrossFit Tilt group, but I wasn't the best fit for what they
Hmm
needed in their affiliate either. Um, and so it was just kind of a mutual parting of ways 6 weeks prior to Avery being born. And then it was like, well, now what? Now where do we go? Um,
Did you not have
and
a backup plan at the time?
nope,
Oh,
nope,
dude,
didn't have a backup plan time.
you are I don't even know how I can express it without vulgarities as to how amazing I think that is. Like you are a gladiator, my friend, to have uh, a new responsibility coming, jump on ship and have no plan. That's some let's just say some spine,
Yeah. Um, I
courage.
mean, risk it for the biscuit, just I've always done everything kind of like just full bore into the abyss, just full send. Um, one my good friend of mine, Sam Burns, has this saying that he always go fast, break things, and like that's how you get stuff done.
Yeah,
So we went
by
we
that.
went fast and broke things. Um, and basically we were sitting with my family at around Christmas time, and I was like, I'm not really sure what to do because like I've reached out to gyms like in my area where I am in Salem, Massachusetts, and there are gyms, but there aren't gyms that can support like a full time coach. And I've played the game of like I'm part-time coaching at multiple gyms, and I was like, that does not sound enjoyable whilst
Mm.
having a newborn as well. Um, so, and then just my wife out, she's like, have you ever thought about like being an EMT or EMS? I was like, I've never thought of that. Why? What makes you think that? She's like, well, you work well under pressure. You don't outwardly get stressed, like in a stressful situation. It doesn't seem to, outwardly phase. You can handle it pretty well. And you went to college for 4 years to study A&P basically, to get a degree in exercise science. So I think you'd be really good at it. And I was like, okay. Um, and I had a good friend, another good friend of mine also, who I know you know, Mr. James Hobart.
Yep.
Um, he had gotten his EMT, um, I believe, in either 2019 or 2020. And so I'd asked him, and then good friend of ours, Sam Horenstein, who they went to EMT school together, like basically where they went in their program, and they recommended their school, and off we went. I, so Avery was born. I started EMT school, and I picked up a full-time retail job just to have something coming in that was like low barrier to entry. All three of those things started within 3 days of each other.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. How
So
was
it was
that?
amazing. It was fantastic. It was so fantastic that I decided to add on a semi-pro soccer season on top of that because I, with a few friends, started a soccer club. So we were like, let's do the damn thing. It was the hardest 6 months of my life. It was absurdly hectic and crazy, and there was not enough caffeine in the world to keep that going. But we came out the other end with an absolutely beautiful baby girl. The soccer club that I played in the first season, just kind of like get things off the ground as a new club. You don't have players like knocking down your door to come play for you. And it was a collective, like a group of us that had played together in the past that started this, just as a way to kind of give young players the opportunity to develop. And we have a few partnerships with a few companies to get them overseas for trials.
Hmm.
Um, and so, but for the first season, they're like, we're short a couple center backs. Kev, you want to play? I was like, you know what? While we're at it, why not?
Oh my
Um,
goodness, man.
so it was wild. It was hectic. It was a ton of fun. I learned a lot about myself in the process because you never know where your limits are until you try and find them. So
Hmm.
that right there, that 6 months was about the limit of
Well,
was
I mean,
crazy.
it sounds like you said, to go fast and break things, that you're obviously, like you said, an all-in, full bore kind of an individual.
Yeah.
So maybe you didn't need the extra push. So I don't want to speak for you, but
Mm.
has it been your experience that isn't it also now as if you didn't need an extra push to have, like a little one that's depending upon you? You're like, I will do whatever is required to make this
Yep.
happen. I don't care if I
Yes.
sleep. I don't care if
Yep.
my social life goes to zero. Like, let's do this thing.
Yep. It was like I basically had made the commitment to the soccer team like prior to all hell breaking loose in my life. And so I was like, well, I can't, I've already made a commitment to this. I've committed to this thing. I, I'm not going to back away from it. So then everything else started, but it was basically like an average day. So that I was lucky enough to get into an EMT school program that worked out really well for me. It was a program where like lectures and everything were online, and I could do the coursework online and the exams and quizzes and such online. And then there was a 10-day at the end where you had to go in person. They called it a boot camp, and it wasn't a lie. That was a pretty fitting title where basically, like, from 7 in the morning until 7 at night, you were just getting absolutely drilled on all of your, skills and actual interventions
Okay.
that you can do as a emergency medical professional. And that part was crazy. It was a ton of fun, but it was, 12 hours a day, just like you were like a
Trauma.
robot. You could, yeah, you just, yep. How do you assess for trauma? How do you do a spine board? How do you, use a traction splint? How do you, assess for need for CPR? How do you place an airway? How do you, all that fun stuff. So it's just, I was like a
And that's
robot. You could have,
probably a pretty good way to do it because I'm sure by the end of the day, you have to do these difficult, complicated skills while tired and overwhelmed a bit.
yes, it was really good training for. like actually what was going to happen in the job, because most EMS services that I know of and have come across either work in 12 or 24-hour shifts. Um, the service that I work for, I work two 24-hour shifts each week, on Thursdays and Sundays. And so that's 7 a.m. Thursday or 7 a.m. Sunday to 7 a.m. Friday or 7 a.m. Monday. That's my shift. So you do have to uh, perform some medical interventions and kind of like be just tired doesn't exist, doesn't matter. Like
Nobody cares how good you
someone's
are when you're fresh.
nope. That's exactly right. It's well,
No.
like a great example as we had last Friday, we had a car accident we had to do at 2 in the morning. Um, so like you're kind of like you're in the bunk room, tone goes off, you get called for motor vehicle accident for mutual aid, and you're like, whenever it's mutual aid, that means like multiple towns and multiple ambulances are going. So you're
Mm.
like, uh-oh, like big whole section of highway shut down because there was an elderly gentleman who had gotten on going the wrong way and then head-on collisions. We had
Mm.
5 patients total in that car crash. Um, it was like cars upside down, mashed, mangled. It was gnarly. So we had 5 ambulances, and then one patient ended up getting med flighted to Mass General in Boston. Um, as of right now, 4 out of the 5 patients made it. They're still alive.
Good, okay.
So three of them are still in critical condition. But it was one of those things where, like at 2 a.m., it doesn't matter how tired you like. It's whenever something comes through like that, that's the most alert I've ever been. It's
Mm.
as soon as that tone goes off, you could be dead asleep in the bunk room. As soon as that tone goes off, like that's the most alert you've ever been in your entire life. It's
Are you attached to a fire department?
no, I work for a private ambulance company
Okay.
called Beauport Ambulance. It operates. We have a North Shore division, which is where I am, and then we have a Boston division.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
the way EMS works in Massachusetts is a little bit different than um, some other states. We don't have a huge amount of like municipal ambulances, which is like ambulances for the town. Fire departments will have their rescue units, um, but most of the guys that work on there, they're firefighters and paramedics. If you're in
Right.
Massachusetts, they want you to have both, so you can do both. But then as soon as a rescue unit goes out, like that's two less people to work a fire if you needed to.
Sure.
So what tends to happen is you have private ambulance companies that are owned by either one or multiple people, um, and they vary in size from like some of the smallest. I think the smallest one in Massachusetts now has 2 ambulances, brand new private EMS service. 2 ambulances. That's the thing they're trying to grow. We have 24 ambulances, I think. There's another company, Cataldo, that has like I'm gonna make up a number, 200 something ambulances, like just absolutely monstrous. And so each private company can try and go for primary 911 contracts in an area, which is you get that through the fire department. Because if a 911 medical comes in, it goes through the fire department. If you have the primary, then it just goes direct to you.
I see.
I have no idea dispatch wise how they set that up and make that happen. Um, But so for us for Beauport, we're the primary 911 for 2 areas, and then we're like secondary and tertiary for like a couple different areas. Where like the car wreck that we did was in Gloucester. We are secondary for that. But like I said, we had 2 Gloucester rescue units. We had 3 of our trucks there, and then they had one from another town over that came. It was wild. So
Okay.
it's a wild and crazy world.
Let me ask you this because this probably applies to a lot of people. If
Yeah.
you said two
Sorry, I had to let the
24
cat out.
oh, you're good. Two 24-hour shifts a week.
Yes.
Shift work, people that are on
Mhm.
shift work, it's so, I would assume, astonishingly disruptive to your normal cycle, whether it's nutrition or fitness or just sleep or whatever. How have you
Mhm.
found a way to make shift work function and still care about, eating well and working out?
So we'll talk the nutrition side first. Is I meal prep and bring all my food with me. So I make sure that it's kind of a stereotype, and it's shocking, honestly, how many of my coworkers either don't really eat much during their shift, or it's like, yeah, well, we'll run through Wendy's or McDonald's or Taco
Right.
Bell or, you know, gas station or whatever.
Something
Um,
fast and easy.
yeah. And so I have a, like a little cooler, like a, lunch box that it's like a Yeti soft sided cooler or something like that, that um, I pack all my stuff in, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks and everything. And it's everything that I need for the day, and I just bring that with me, and like I bring it on the truck with me, and so even if we get a chance to stop by a base or we're at a base where I can microwave stuff, then that's a good day.
Hmm.
That's bonus points. Um, it's not always like set meal times. It's kind of like when you can type thing. But I've got always got 3 or 4 meals and a few snacks, some fruit in there with me that I bring each day to make sure that I'm A, eating enough, and B, not just shoveling garbage into my face while I'm on shift.
Do your
Um,
coworkers think that you're the weird guy?
yes, 1,000%. A lot of them don't understand like how I eat so much. I've said this to a few people. They're like, wow, you're eating a lot. I'm like, I eat more than anybody at this company. I can guarantee it. I eat more food. Um, yeah, I'm the one who's like, we're between calls, just like sitting in an ambulance bay, and I've got a cold Tupperware of rice and chicken sausage and my spoon, and just like, there's not a microwave available, so we're eating it cold. It is what it is.
Yeah. I
I'm
think they
that guy.
also probably don't realize, even it seems like you're eating all day long. It's probably just the caloric density is different too. Like you're eating chicken and rice
Mhm.
and fruit all day long. Okay, they stop for, a double Whopper with cheese, a large fry, and a vanilla shake. But that has 7 days worth of calories in it. Like I just don't think they
Yeah.
probably even get that. And then if you go to Starbucks and you get a mega large frappa, whatever, that's another
Hmm.
2 days worth of calories. So like, oh, this Kevin guy is eating all day long. It's like, yeah, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah, it's not quite the same. I haven't tracked in a long time. I weighed and measured for years when I first started in fitness, so I've got a pretty decent eyeball of like, I know what I need to be eating, and kind of like can just rough eyeball it type thing most of the
Hmm.
time. And so most days somewhere between like 2,800 to 3,200 calories a day is about where I am. I'm a little bit of a larger guy. I'm like 6'1", 225. So um, it's, yeah,
Gotta
that
feed the
amount of food
machine.
seems to, yeah, got to feed the machine, because then as soon as you're off shift, it's like, all right, back to trying to make myself as much of a human weapon as humanly possible.
That's right. And do they have fitness gear where you work?
Nope, nope. That's something that I would love to potentially change. We'll see. I'm trying to, like, with my wife, figure out the trajectory of my EMS career, whether I stay at this company that's private, which it's a wonderful company to work for, and I like it there, um, or whether like maybe trying to get onto a fire department. Switch. There's a bunch of different options in Massachusetts, and they all have different benefits, both short term
Mm,
and long term. Some pay a little bit more hourly, but there's maybe a little bit less in terms of the benefit side of things, and vice versa. Some have better benefits but a little bit less pay. And
right.
so it's trying to figure out what's the best course of action. I know that within the next probably year or so, I'll go to paramedic school and get my paramedic license, and just ratchet things up another notch. Just
Hmm.
why not? Why not?
I assume that would make you much more marketable if you did want
Yes.
to seek other occupations.
You can't buy a paramedic in EMS at this point. Like, everybody everywhere needs more paramedics. Our service needs more paramedics. Like,
Mm,
what we have at Beauport, like we're very short on medics. There's always overtime shifts available for medics because we just can't fill all the trucks all the time. Um, all the fire departments want more medics. Everybody wants more paramedics.
interesting.
There's quite an abundance of EMTs, and even with your EMT license, you can also go work as a tech in like an emergency room. So you could be at a hospital with your EMT license. So some EMTs may go work there, but there's a lot of EMTs. There's not a whole lot of paramedics. Um,
Why?
so EMTs have, I think, for a couple reasons. EMTs, it's a lower barrier to entry for school. So EMT school, depending on the program, is somewhere like between 4 to $8,000 depending on where you go to school, and it's about 6 months of your time um, to get that. And then you obviously have to pass all the tests and everything at the end to get your license. But 6 months, a few $1,000 and all's good. For paramedic school, most programs are somewhere between, you know, just over a year, like 15 months to 2 years
Oh,
for
I didn't
paramedic
realize that.
school.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a legitimate, like,
You need to want it.
paramedics. Yeah, you gotta want it. You're gonna see more gnarly stuff. So EMS is broken up into BLS, which is basic life support, which is an EMT, and then advanced life support, which is a paramedic or a flight nurse or a flight paramedic if you're on like a med flight deal. Um, and the difference in scope of practice is massive. Um, a paramedic has a larger scope of practice than like a registered nurse or a nurse practitioner or someone. Yeah, but they can do more things without physician approval. Like
Mm.
if you're a nurse in an emergency room and you want to do something, you have to get the physician's stamp of approval, like your attending stamp of approval before you can do something. For a paramedic, you make that call.
You're like, we're
So it's
cutting
like
this
you have,
sucker open.
yeah. So you have all the responsibility, all the liability, and then all the training to then perform
Mhm.
all the interventions. So it's a large scale thing, and it's about, again, depends on the program. If you can get into, here's why I made my mistake, is I went to college for 4 years. So there's a lot of community colleges that are like, if you don't have a college degree yet, you can get your paramedic for free. Like we do paramedic school for free. And
Interesting.
but I went to school for 4 years, so I don't qualify for those programs. Um, so it's, yeah, like the most popular one in Massachusetts is a program called Pro EMS, and it's an accelerated program. So you're done everything in 9 months. It's like a
Mm.
fire hose.
Mm.
Um, and so a lot of people choose it because it gets you in and out quicker. You get your paramedic license in half the time.
Is it
Um,
safe to say the attrition rate is higher?
maybe, probably. It's it's not for the weak, that's for sure. Everyone I know that's gone through pro is like, it's gnarly. It'll
Mhm.
put some hair on your chest, so to speak. Um, but if you come out, they have great facilities, and you'll be an amazing paramedic. But it's also like to the tune of $20,000. So
So this
it's
all ties into why if you're doing this on your own, well, then the
mhm,
fire department doesn't have to spend their money and their time on you. They get you that's already got 1 to 2 years training and 20 to 30,000 of dollars already spent that's not in their budget. So they're like,
mhm.
yes, please come join our department.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's tough. It's tough to get onto a fire department not as a firefighter, um, unless you already have your paramedic. Like if you were to approach, and I've asked some fire departments, I'm like, listen, I'm willing to go to paramedic school yesterday, because it's like pulling teeth to get some of their firefighters to go to paramedic school, because they're like, I want to fight fires. I don't want to be on the ambulance. Whereas I'm like, I want to be on the ambulance. So
Hmm.
I'll do that. And they're like, ah, because like you said, I come in, I can't do what they need to do if it's a paramedic truck and I'm an EMT. Like I can't
Right.
use most of the equipment on there. So they're like, so you're basically a fancy, I'm just the driver, not just the driver, but
Correct. No, I get
in
it.
those
Yeah.
scenarios, I'm just the driver for the ambulance, and then they have to go and pay for me to go to paramedic school. That's sometimes a tough sell. So for me to get onto a fire department, I'd have to essentially put in for the civil service exam to be hired as a firefighter, and then they would send me to paramedic school,
Gotcha.
and then I'm both. So I'm kind of like weighing those options of which one to do, which one not to do, which direction to go,
If
and
if you go to the paramedic school in your own dime, in your own time,
mhm,
and then you get accepted into the fire department, can you just stay as a paramedic, or do you then eventually also have to learn how to be a firefighter?
you can just be a paramedic.
Oh, interesting.
They'll
Okay.
have they'll have they'll have you stay just as a paramedic, and you'll just work on the rescue unit. Um, and then whichever of their guys that there might be both firefighter and medic, they kind of like would rotate through the rescue, because of course none of them want to do it.
Right, right.
Um,
That makes sense.
so yeah,
So
so that's
you
that,
covered, I'm
that
sorry,
they're
go ahead.
very interested in. Yeah, go ahead.
So you covered what you do for nutrition, but do you just not work out during your shift stuff? Do you bring a pair of dumbbells? Do you push workouts around during the week? How do you make that work for other people that are doing shift work and maybe can learn from what you've
Yeah,
found helps?
yeah. So um, the shifts that I work are 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. So I tried for a while being like, because my shifts were on Thursday and Sundays, and I was like, perfect, those are rest days. I'll just work out on my off days. But then if you have a really, really rough shift where you're like, I got 2 hours of sleep, and you rock up on a Monday to today's glorious workout of max effort back squats and chin ups and running, that's not a great combo. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I tried to do that, but then I ended up like missing workouts because I'm like, wow, I just really am spent and need
Yeah.
to not work out today. So what I found works well for me was to actually shift everything like down a day. And so I train Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday I get up and do like an early morning session
Ah,
before my
okay.
shift. So I wake up and I'll wake up at 5 in the morning, head out to the garage. I'm done by 6 at the latest. I can shower, change, everything and get off to work and then work my shift so that the day after my shift I can take as a rest day,
Gotcha.
and kind of rest and recuperate from whatever that shift may have had in store. Um, 12-hour shifts are tough just because depending on when you start and stop. If you finish 12-hour shift against like you've had a busy day, you're like, do I have the energy to give something into a workout that's productive? But then depending on when the shift starts, like, do you get up in the morning before? So I'm
Mm.
more of a morning person, so that's not much of a tough sell for me. My wife, on the other hand, is the opposite of a morning person. So
I'm
that
familiar.
for someone like her, that'd be a really tough sell to be like, hey babe, you're gonna go, work out at 4 a.m. It's like, nope,
Nope.
not a thing. So so that's how I'm managing right now, and I'm in a pretty good rhythm. Um, for that, kind of like again that shifting down one day. So I have the 2 days that I wake up earlier in the morning before everybody else in the house gets up, and I'll go out to the garage and train. And then on my days that I'm off shift, I can just kind of work out whenever is good. So
Where is your Massachusetts accent?
where I'm originally from Maine.
Don't act like people from Maine don't have an accent. Potentially.
No, they do. They have
I
some.
was
My
born and
grandmother
raised in
has.
Massachusetts, by the way, 21 years in Massachusetts. And
Where at?
my father's family is born and raised in Maine. Very familiar with the
Okay.
Maine as well.
Yeah.
My family's still in a little nowhere town, South Shore of Mass called Hanson.
Okay.
You know
Sweet.
Hanson?
Yeah, I know where it is. I haven't spent a huge amount of time down there, but I know where it is.
Yeah, I went to high school in Brockton, and then I went to Worcester State College.
There you go. Worcester.
Worcester
Worcester's on the
State,
up and
man,
up.
Worcester
They're
State.
they're they're doing a whole bunch of building up Worcester right now. That
Are
like
they really?
downtown is being, yeah, they're like fully trying to make it the place to be. Um,
Interesting. Well,
got
good
a
luck
good
with
friend of mine that lives out there, and yeah, got a friend of mine that lives out there. And I was like, how's all everything? They're like, yeah, they're trying, they're doing their best.
Dude, all I remember,
But
I mean, I remember a lot about Worcester, obviously, but I was there for college, getting ready to go into the military, so all I ran, and Worcester's just all hills. I just
yep.
ran hills. It's like no flat ground from what I remember in Worcester. You're going uphill or you're going downhill, like all the time. But yeah, you don't even have a Maine accent. Is this an intentional try to speak clean?
No, I never had any sort of accent. I know my parents don't. It's I got upset with my dad. So my dad was actually born and raised in England. Um,
Okay.
and he moved over here when he was, gosh, like 9 or 10 years old. And because kids are mean, they all bullied him because of his accent. So he
Right.
dropped his accent. So if you talk to my dad, you'd have no clue that he was ever English.
Got some New Englanders
Um,
bringing up some Boston Tea Party memories.
yeah. Um, so yeah, we never had any accents. We did like my grandmother has an absolutely gnarly Maine accent. She talks about stuff over there. Um, and so but yeah, I got none of the accents, none of the fun stuff.
That's funny. I've
Well,
had one forever and ever, and I actually intentionally tried to turn it off and curb it when I get out into the military because, for better or for worse, you'd be like briefing somebody with like a thick accent and they just don't take you seriously. Like they don't
Yep.
listen to anything that you're saying. They're just giggling in the background about what you're saying. So I was like, well, this
Yep.
isn't very effective for communicating to people. So I have to change that. But man, Maine and Massachusetts, the whole New England area is such a unique it's such a unique part of the country, and when I
Yeah.
saw your first name and last name when I saw it, and then I saw that you're from New England, I'm like, that's like the most New England name as well. I'm like, this guy is just New England through and through.
Yeah. It's, but born and raised in Maine. I currently live in Massachusetts. I went to college in Vermont. Like just the Northeast is where I've been my whole life. And Massachusetts is still like a little city for me. It seemed like when we first moved to Massachusetts, my wife and I, we were, not married at the time, but we moved to Massachusetts and we lived in Dorchester. And
Gorgeous
that
area.
was a whole bunch of, yeah, really, really the place to be. Um, so we lived there for a little bit, and then we moved to Medford, which was a
Okay.
little bit further outside the city. We were like, oh, we're outside the city now. No, we weren't. Like it's just, and then we moved from there to Watertown, and we're like, oh, well, that's really outside the city. No, it's not. Now that we're in Salem, I was like, okay, we're very far away from Boston, but it's always going to feel a little bit city to me when the house I grew up in Maine, our closest neighbor was a mile down the road.
Hmm.
So we were like in the woods in Maine.
Yep. Yeah, I just remember Maine, just, we didn't grow up with a lot of money at all. So like our big vacations was we just drive from from Massachusetts up to Maine to go bass fishing.
Yeah.
That was it. Lake
It's
Powys, I think it was.
Where is that? I don't know if I've,
Um, well, I'm trying to remember where that one was. We do that one and we do a lake in Unity, Maine, which was a small town. I mean, Maine, there's
yep.
so many
Yeah,
lakes.
I know where Unity is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, little small town. And we do that. And, I would always swing into LL Bean, just
Oh yeah, have to.
have to. I mean,
You have to.
obligatory.
Yep. Yeah, it is. You gotta go to El Bean, you gotta go to the Kittery Trading
The
Post.
Kittery trade right on the
Um,
border.
yep, right on the border, right across the bridge. Maine is such a beautiful state. I loved it. I'm very much like a be outdoors, like or like, not in the city. I'm definitely not a city person. Um,
Hmm.
it's yeah, I prefer it, but
What's funny is getting outside of New England because life's taken me a whole bunch of different places. Initially, man, New England also just has not just the accent, but like its own lingo that when you go
yeah,
outside, people don't quite know what you're talking about, whether it's, or like around here, uh, all the roundabouts, we call them rotaries in
yep,
Massachusetts, like the
yep,
circles.
mm-hmm.
I remember
Oh yeah,
something rotary. They're like, rotary? Like, what are you talking about? And they're like,
yeah,
oh, roundabout. The biggest one too was, especially if you had like a Massachusetts accent, a Boston accent, was what everyone in the world refers to as a drinking fountain, like in a school or
yep,
whatnot. And that's
mm-hmm.
like, where's the bubbler? They're like, where's the bubbler? I don't, what are you even talking about? I can't identify a
What do
single
you
word
mean?
in that sentence.
You're missing some letters. Let's try again.
Yes, and coming from Massachusetts,
Yep.
I'm like, drinking fountain. Like a fountain is like something at the mall that you throw coins into. Like that's a fountain. I'm like,
Yes,
where's
the
the bubbler?
decorative water feature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there were so many things getting outside of New England. I was like, and my mom, who actually I'm going to go up and see next month for the first time forever, she's like never left Massachusetts for 76 years. I
Mhm.
mean, like not. I mean, so she is full blown. Every time I talk to her on the phone, I'll put her on like speakerphone so my family can enjoy it. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yep.
something like a Jerky Boy skit or something like that. Like it's just fantastic, But
Yeah. That's my grandmother the same way. The town that I grew up in, small town, Belgrade Lakes, in Maine. It's between two lakes. It's a beautiful, like very picturesque area. But my grandmother has lived there for 70 years. And so she knows everybody. They all know her. Um,
hmm.
it's such a small town where everybody knows everybody. But she's like always jokes. She knows everybody in the state of Maine. It's ridiculous. Like she's just, but she's
There was
The happiest human being on the planet.
there's a word that my father would say every now and then was like such a main word. It wasn't a Massachusetts. Oh, if something was like, I don't know, like if you wrecked your car and you crunched it all
Mhm.
in, they'd say like you stove it all in. They would use the word
Yep.
stove as a verb for like
Yep.
crunching it in. Like, car's all stoved in. I'm like, stoved in?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
Yep. It's all stove up. Yep. That's yes. Like basically just scratched, dented.
A
Yeah.
secret language.
It is. It is a secret language. Um, it is a secret language for sure.
Well,
For sure. But
I'm curious, as much, I guess, wrapping up, let you get back to your life and your little girl. Um, a whole bunch of choices out there. Why did you decide on Linchpin?
that's a great question. So I've been in the CrossFit space for a while. I coached full time for just over a decade. Um, and I'm a nerd about all things CrossFit, all things programming. I like you and I could probably sit down and have a days long conversation
Be
about
awesome.
programming. Um, and so through my time coaching and I programmed for affiliates, I programmed for individual athletes, I programmed for
Hmm.
myself. I try this program for myself. Try that one. I just love the experimenting of it. I've tried everything and I knew of Linchpin and I've listened to the podcast forever. Um, but it was at the time I was aiming for competing in
Hmm.
CrossFit. In 2022, I finished top 500 quarterfinals in North America.
Well
Um,
done.
so I got like I was like, all right, this year's the year I make it to semifinals, and then I sent my spine into the next dimension. Just me being an idiot.
Oh
That
man.
too heavy, too fast, not enough. Just trying to push a transition on a training piece, and sent my spine to the next dimension. It was like 6 months of trying to rehab that sucker.
Hmm.
And so that basically, put again, all things happen for a reason. I was able to clean up some movement patterns. It, you know, allowed me more time to focus on other things that in my fitness that I wasn't focusing on a ton. Um, so maybe a small blessing in disguise there at the time, super frustrating. But I hadn't done Linchpin as a program, even though I've known of, your mission with Linchpin. Um, is because the goal of Linchpin isn't for competitors. That's not the
100%.
goal. Is not to make it to semifinals and beyond. And that's what I was trying to do up until that point. And so when I injured my back, it was basically just kind of like PT rehab, like what I could do. So I wasn't really following a program because I'm a psycho, and if
Hmm.
it's on the paper, I have to do it. So
Gotcha.
um, I was just kind of going through, and then I started, when we moved, started dabbling a little bit in endurance stuff. I played my soccer season. Like there were some other things that just kind of came in that weren't conducive to, maybe super regular CrossFit training. And when I was like, all right, I'm going to get back into it, I was programming for myself and just the mental load of I have EMT school, or, transitioning into full-time EMTing, baby, family stuff, all like then to try and like, plan stuff out was just mentally draining. So
Mm-hmm.
then what that turned into was just make it up on the spot, just go out in the garage and what do I feel like doing? Um,
Hmm.
but then my own personal biases come in of like, I just enjoy doing this movement and this movement. So I'm
Right.
just going to snatch
Right.
and bar muscle up until my shoulders break. Um, and then I didn't really know what to do. And I was like, you know what, let's, get myself on a program and that basically takes the guesswork out of it. Like I don't have to think about it.
Mm.
And the easy answer, I was like, well, I'm not trying to, you know, necessarily like compete anymore. Like I want to be fit enough that if a friend of mine's like, hey, let's do a partner competition on the weekend, like I can throw down and have fun. But I'm not trying to, you know,
Right.
push all the dials to 12 anymore. And it needs to be efficient and, you know, something I can do in the garage. And I was like, I know what program will fit.
That's
It
cool.
wasn't even a question. So like I was like, I know which one to go for. So um, pulled up CrossFit Linchpin and signed up that day, and the rest is history, so to speak.
How
So,
long have you been with Linchpin now? It hasn't been super long, right?
uh, no, somewhere like 3 to 4 months, somewhere in
Okay.
that
Okay.
ballpark, I think. Um, and it's just been fantastic. It's again like it takes my biases out of it. So I've done things on this program that I would never in a million years have programmed for myself, just because um, like I just wouldn't think to, because it's like the example that comes to mind is like a Turkish get up. I'm like, why would I program a Turkish get up? I'll just do more muscle ups. Um,
Hmm.
I know those aren't the same thing, but that's just,
Right. Understood.
I never in a million years would have been like, I'll program myself Turkish get ups. Um, but when they're on the program, I'm like, I'll do the Turkish get ups. Then you do them and you're like, whew. Um,
That's
so
cool.
it's been incredible to do movements that I wouldn't have programmed for myself. Um, the Facebook community is incredible. Bunch of amazing human beings on there.
People
Um,
always think that I'm exaggerating with how cool that group of people is.
yeah, you did a really good job, because it has the feel of like just the supportiveness of being in an affiliate without actually being in an affiliate, um, which is incredibly unique, because a lot of online programs that exist in the ether don't do the same thing. It's You're
Well,
there, you see
hey,
a name
thank
on a
you. But B, I
leaderboard,
have to
but it's
say,
not.
you said I did a good job. I didn't do anything. I literally, there was no plan, there was no nothing. We just had really cool people show up. So I don't know
Yeah,
how that worked, but cool people keep showing
I
up. And
do.
maybe it's the sort of people that are willing to expose themselves to even things that they wouldn't
Mhm.
program for. Maybe that pre-screens for a certain individual. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I do know how that happened and it's maybe not directly you trying to cultivate that community, but I think the way that you program and the way that you firmly stand that this is what Linchpin is, this is what we do, and this is what we're about, um, is it basically, people will either self-select in or select out based on that.
Sure,
And
yeah.
the people that self-select in are more likely to kind of share those attributes. Again, if you're like, hey, what we do is we're programmed for people that want to be human weapons without smash themselves for hours in the gym, whilst keeping everything feeling good and healthy, joint muscle, everything else wise, and whilst doing the stuff that's effective, not popular.
Hmm.
Like if you're like, this is what we're about, the people that self-select into that are going to be more alike than not.
Probably
Whereas
so.
if
Yeah,
someone's
probably
like,
so.
I want to go to the CrossFit Games and I want to puff my chest out and tell you about my sub 2 minute Fran, like that wouldn't fly in the Facebook group. It's like, um,
Hmm.
and so I think you may not have meant for that to happen, but I think the way you've gone about doing things and building this program shaped the community, because
Well,
if you don't fit into it, you wouldn't be a part of it. You know?
right. Or you'll just leave, like, I mean, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather have
Yeah.
you like that. It's all good. Like if nothing's worth killing the vibe, like in all honesty, like,
Nope.
I'd rather
Nope.
have somebody
Right.
like keep your money in your wallet, quite frankly. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want a bad apple.
Yeah. And same thing, like if it's you're not going to get served by the program, like if what we do isn't for you, then by all means go somewhere where they have what you want and what you
Well,
need.
yeah,
You
it's
know?
a big fitness world out there. There's a home for everybody. It's,
Yep. It's the internet's a big place.
it's all, yeah, it's all good. That's cool, man. Well, hey, like, I appreciate you giving me so much of your time today. I appreciate you giving Lynchpin a shot.
Absolutely.
Super stoked, um, with your little girl and making it happen and doing what you got to do career-wise and providing. Like, that's
Hmm.
the good stuff, man. So keep it up.
That
Yeah, I
is the good stuff.
genuinely appreciate you.
Yeah, I genuinely appreciate taking the time to set this up and provide the world with the amazingness that is CrossFit Linchpin.
We'll keep doing it, brother. I will see you online and enjoy New England.
Sounds great.
Later.
Talk to you later.